Beep, 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 beep. You are a midnight delight. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see everyone. How's everybody doing? Is this music too loud? It might be just a tad. Just 1 to 2 tads too loud for my old man ears. I'm gonna start telling everyone to get off my lawn soon. Honestly, I wish I had more people on my lawn. Just, you know, just some nice locals or something, just to wander around. And I can talk to them from a distance. Did I take Pepto? No, well, first off, David De La Rosa with the first dono of the night with the 2 says, hey Joel, how you doing, buddy? I'm doing pretty good. It's 5 a.m. there. Oh my gosh. That is quite a time. Are you up early or are you up late? Made it right at the start. Heck yeah. My friend convinced me to go out with them last night. So I did, and I don't ever do that because it's just not really my bag, baby. But now my tummy hurts. It hurts so bad. It feels okay for the most part now, but I just still feel like in like a hungover slump. Major X Alb with the $36.99 AED. What are AEDs? Let me check that real quick. AED to USD. The UAE dirham. The Emirati dirhams. Nice. Well, hello from Emirati. Howdy do, partner. Howdy do. And Major X Alb was 75 AED right out the gate. Thank you, my friend. Says, I've been sleeping to your voice for the past 4 months. Keep up the good content. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Well, tonight, if you're new to the stream, as always, we will be chilling here, hanging loose for the first 20 minutes or so. You can see the timer on screen as we count down, and we'll switch it over to some spooky vibes, and it's gonna be dope, and maybe you can fall asleep to it. Jacob Bowling with the 10 says, Joel, tonight my heart is full of pain. Today would have been my father's 77th birthday. My father passed away in March due to lung cancer. I'm so sorry if I'm not myself tonight. No problem, Jacob. I'm sorry to hear that, and that is very sad. I apologize. But we're here for you, and happy you can make it. And thank you so much for your support. You just got done writing a short story. It was a tough one. Never done many on time traveling. My brain hort. Yeah, I never really knew how they kept like time traveling like narrative straight. I feel like there's almost like a website for like time traveling writing tropes or something like that, where you could like look up to make sure that you cover all your bases, because I'm sure like, you know, one random shoe fly in the year 4 billion AD or AE or BC, I don't fucking know, one of those years has some sort of butterfly effect for the future. What did you drink, or was it food that made you sick? No, actually, I didn't eat anything last night, but I basically got there, had a pitcher of Blue Moon to myself with those friends who had been out for a while. And it's not like I kind of played catch up because they were like moving pretty quick. And then went to another place, and I think I drank more Blue Moon there. And then I think at some point we took a shot, which shots are so stupid. Like, I just feel like I don't even know. I just don't get the point, you know what I mean? And then, I don't know if I drank more or not, but I got an Uber home, and the guy even asked me, he's like, hey man, do you want me to stop the car? I was like, and then I'm drunk, pretty drunk by that point. I'm like, hey, sure, man. And then he did, and I just like instinctively opened the door and just like fucking projectile vomited all over the road. So that was cool. And yeah, fuck drinking. It honestly, like how I felt, like made me almost like, do I want to drink on my birthday for my birthday stream? Is that something I really want to do to myself again? Paige with the 10 says, thank you for making chemo bearable. My nurse doesn't know how I don't get scared. Just getting slowly desensitized. My voice is taking you through the horror. But hey, Paige, I'm glad you're doing well. And I hope that is going well for you. Give some love to your nurses and healthcare providers, as I'm sure you do. But we're there for you, and I appreciate you hanging out.
Hey, listen.
Can you answer why you don't read paranormal anymore? It just doesn't do as well as the other types of videos, like the true scary stuff. And every time I upload it, it's almost like it like kind of like hurts your views, and like your views on YouTube oftentimes are like sort of based on momentum, at least how it's been for me. So like, you know, if I upload that video, I notice that like the next video's views start to go down, and you know, you can't really get into a slump or whatever where your views are going down, otherwise your momentum sort of comes to a halt as well. So that's just what I'm like a little bit terrified of. David with 2 says, hope you feel better, Joel. Thank you, David. Yeah, I'm doing good. Feeling better tonight? No, yeah, I'm good. It was last night, but I just spent most of the day in a stasis of recovery. Hello, mister. I'm drunk. We planned so well together. Well, welcome to my world. Last night. I certainly hope you don't go get as tummy hoarded as I did. Jeremy Crow has been a member for 1 whole frickin' year. Holy shiz. Haven't been able to watch live in a while since I got my new job, but I missed you, Joel. Glad to be back. Well, we're glad to have you, Jeremy. I hope the new job is going well for you, and thank you so much for a whole year of being a mischievous dog. Can you please start doing cryptid? Yeah, cryptid kind of falls under the paranormal stuff, but you know, people like Swamp Dweller and Darkness Prevails and a lot of other super talented narrators on here, they do a lot of paranormal stuff. If you know. But you know what? I definitely think for the next members only content stuff, I might be doing something cryptid or paranormal oriented. I'll have to let you know. So that's still in the deciding factor. And Major X Alb with a 37 AED says, have you considered doing jinn and sorcery stories? It's pretty common behind the scenes. So jinns, those are like, isn't that like, that's demons, right? And that kind of thing, and like kind of like loosely related to like the concept of like a genie or like Middle Eastern lore and that kind of thing. I believe. I could be wrong. But that does sound interesting. I think in some of my paranormal stuff, people have talked about jinn. Or maybe they drink it. I forget. Agonized Anguish with the 5 says, there's a reason you don't post more stories to chilling. You know, I have like a set list of about like 2 to 3 hours of audio I do for chilling a month. So like from that point, after I hand it over to Chilling, it's kind of like on their schedule to decide when they upload my content. So it's kind of up to them, but I don't know if they like slow drip it or what the you know, schedule for them is specific to like each narrator that's on there. I'll have to ask them, honestly. Do I believe in any urban legends or myths? Oh, you know, there was an urban legend I once knew very heavily about. It was about a little black cat that once I gave him wet food, he would not shut up all day, every day until I gave him more and more food. And I always listened, but slowly over time he became dun 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 overweight, a big heckin' chonker. But no, seriously, Pradeep, I mean, he's good right now because I just fed him, but like, I don't know, man. It's like even after he gets fed the first time of the day, he's just so yancy all the time, and I have to just like straight up ignore him. He's just like become like a different creature. It's really strange. Jacob with the 5 Joel, I want to thank you for all your content. I don't care what anyone thinks. North Carolina and Pennsylvania are the best states ever. Damn straight, Jacob. Damn strizzate. That's what I've been saying for years. And finally, people are starting to believe. You love this channel? Well, thank you. Yeah, guys, thanks for being here. We got another 7 minutes or so before we kick things off. Feel free to click that like button at your leisure. Share this out on social media. It always helps. I tried to make my cat lose weight, but my neighbors kept feeding him. I think, oh, that's funny. So he was an outdoor cat. Yeah, Pradeep is a indoor cat. I'd be curious how he would fare outdoors, you know, overnight and that kind of thing. Is Ohio real? Now that's an urban legend in and of itself. I've heard of Ohio. I've never seen, well, actually I have seen it when I visited family there, but besides that I cannot confirm. Oh shit, Squawk is here. Squawk? Squawk 1. Checking in. You're curious why Craigslist stories? Just because they're creepy. Craigslist is full of some real weirdos, man. La Llorona urban legend. Yes, I've talked about La Llorona many a time. As a pet owner, one should know where your animals are at all times. I don't think that's possible with an outdoor cat, you know what I mean? Because cats kind of be doing their own thing if they're outside, and usually they don't come in till the night, at least from what some friends that I've known that have had outdoor cats, and you never know what they're getting up to. They could be shagging around with the other kitty cats in town, or they could be just stealing food off your neighbor's porch. You never know. All sorts of mischievous things. Have I watched any good shows lately? I don't know. I'm not even sure. You know what I did watch before I got in here? Because I saw it on Twitter, and I saw Chills was actually like a ringside, I think, interview or commentator. Was that Creator Clash thing where it's just a bunch of YouTubers and stuff boxing, and I don't know, it just made me laugh because what's his name, Ian iDubbbz or whatever, that's the only one that I watched because I was just curious like how he did, because I remember like during an interview he said he went from like 155 or something to 185 and just like training and eating, and I was like, damn, You know, maybe iDubbbz is getting pretty serious. And I watched this fight, and I don't know. I mean, it was definitely a valiant effort, but whoever the Dr. Mike guy was, I've never seen his stuff before, but he certainly had a better engine, better power. I feel like he must have been like at a higher weight class too, you know, because he was taller, longer wingspan, in much better shape, a lot more power behind his punches and stuff. And you could just tell like iDubbbz was fucking sucking wind throughout most of it. And that's the tough part is that like boxing is just, it's a hard fucking sport, you know what I mean? Like that and like martial arts, all those kinds of things that require you to like regulate your breathing and regulate, you know, how you dispense energy and when you do it strategically. Like it's fucking hard shit. But you could tell he was pretty goddamn gassed and took quite a few punches, and just he himself generally could not, like, if you watch his punches even from the get-go, it was like very hard for him to generate any power behind his punches. So he was just kind of in and over his head, but at the same time, I'm sure he made a killing from organizing the event and all that kind of stuff. Charlie, geez, welcome back for 8 whole months. As we had fridge adventures yesterday, my mom's broken. We had to scramble to find a new one, and luckily I got one for free and brought it to her easy-ish. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that shit, all of that sounds like a pain in the ass. What do I think about Jake Paul fighting Tyson? Are they actually fighting? I don't know. I hope Mike Tyson bites his nose off or something like that. Yeah, at least that's who Dr. Mike was the one who fought iDubbbz. I don't know who. I think I've heard of Dr. Mike, but at the same time, I have no idea. I mean, at the same time, it's like iDubbbz has never fought in his life. He's never really worked out. You know what I mean? He was kind of like, you know, if you look at him, he was kind of like just had that very minimal muscle, just minimal, you know, athletic experience. Like, and to go into that in you know, maybe the less than a year time frame that he had is impressive. But unfortunately, it would just, I much rather would have liked to seen him fight Rice Gum, because I feel like they were like within the same sort of general athletic class, you know what I mean? Your husband claims you're weird for listening to these types of videos before bed. Yeah, it's just like that meme I posted on Instagram. It's pretty funny. They found her. The whole house flooded from blood. Oh, you saw the fight with Dr. Mike. He really trained hard for that event. If you didn't know, he's also a family physician. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I think that's freaking impressive to just be able to find time to do all that stuff. And it really did seem like he just, I mean, I don't even know. It kind of seemed like he took it easy on Ian, to be honest. Like, he never really went for any... Well, there was a few times, like, when they touched gloves, like, he instantaneously would hit iDubbbz, which is kind of dirty, but at the same time, it does happen quite a bit, I feel like, in boxing. You could listen to me talk all day. That's why I fall asleep listening to podcasts and YouTube videos. Please don't ever stop making content. Thank you, Mezoro. I will try my best to never, ever, ever die or get killed or anything like that. This music, penis. Thank you. All right, my friends. Well, we have reached the end of the intro phase. We're gonna switch our way over to the spooky screen. Oh wait, one last little bit. I do like this. I used to watch a scary show where it was about haunted and cursed objects. My sister was spending the night with me, and she's like, "Are you trying to give me nightmares?" You know what's weird though is like the stuff that I watch or listen to right before bed, it like doesn't give me nightmares, or it doesn't like jump into my dreams, you know what I mean? It's almost like the stuff that is in my dreams is the stuff that like is subconsciously buried in my mind, you know what I mean? I know some people dream differently, but I don't know. What's your favorite types of stories to talk about? Definitely the paranormal stuff. And I like the true crime a lot, but they're all really interesting usually. All right, friendos. Let's read. 3, 2, 1. We're just going to switch over. Boom, boom, boom. Also, I got some custom music made for the streams. That's going to be like more underwater theme oriented. I just got that sent to me, so I'm pretty stoked to show you guys that next time. Can you please explain what lo-fi music is? Also, when could you play some meditation music? I mean, I don't imagine prior to the stream. I'm just going to stick with what I normally do, which is just some cool music prior to starting the stream, and now during this time it's a little bit of dark ambience, which is kind of like meditative if you, at least within that same sort of spectrum. But yeah, I'm probably not going to be playing any meditation stuff pre-stream. Sheena Bud with the 5 says, Joel, now that you are over 30, you must never forget the golden rule. Liquor before beer, you're in the clear. Beer before liquor, never been sicker. Yeah, that was the thing, is I think having the beer and then taking some sugary shot in between just like sent me over the edge. But it was pretty funny because I think I threw up literally every little bit of alcohol that went through me, because man, my stomach was just dry heaves after dry heave after that, so there was like nothing left inside of me. Jacob Atsu says, I'm going to enjoy tonight's stories. Hell to the yes. What's your favorite eerie noise between stories? Like mine? I mean, the ones that I use. I don't really know anybody else's eerie noise or what. My voice is hypnotic enough, thank you. Listen very closely to what I'm about to say. Fard. Huh. Okay, here we go. Craigslist, baby. Did you have a birthday recently? I have one at the beginning of June, June 4th. And I'll be doing a live stream on that Saturday, so please do stop by or keep an eye out for that. Do I know what's going on with Dark Echoes channel? No content for almost a year. Yeah, Dark Echoes, that's the one with where it's like actors and stuff, and they act out the stories, right? Because that is, I believe he is a acting professor at a university in California, and with COVID and all the complications with that, in addition to like getting permits and stuff and coordinating students and all of the in between, I think it's just been a major headache for him as far as getting like all the logistics worked out so he can actually film. And so I think that's kind of what's been going on with that, and it's just sort of slowed down the development progress and all that kind of stuff. Back when I was about 4 or 5 years old, me and my mom went over to stay with my grandparents for the weekend. My dad left before I was even born, so it's always just been me and my mom, and my grandparents were always a huge part of my life growing up. We'd go over on a Friday night, then I'd stay till late on a Sunday, mainly so my mom could have a social life or work the long weekend shifts at her job. So this one dark Sunday evening around the holidays, I remember getting carried out to the car, like half asleep already. Then I don't even remember driving off because I must have been out like a light that moment. Oops. One second. I must have thrown something rancid in that trash because, I don't know, it smells so bad. So void. So I just put it in the garage. Oh, a live stream on Saturday? Great. I like these streams, but they're always on nights when I have to get to bed early. Oh, yeah. That is tough. So, Saturdays probably would be a better day overall. You found a new animated horror channel, Dark Robot. Nice. So this one dark Sunday evening around the holidays, I remember getting carried out to the car, like half asleep. Fucking choked on my spit. I say that as you say that this man is a god of speech. Just choked on my spit. Imagine if God said that. So this one dark Sunday evening around the holidays, I remember getting carried out to the car, like half asleep already, and then I don't even remember driving off because I must have been out like a light the moment I got strapped into the car seat. But then the next thing I remember, I feel the cold on my face, and I can hear my mom crying and begging someone not to hurt her because she had me in the car. I remember looking outside and seeing what I honestly thought was a monster at the time, but what I later learned was a man in a bunny mask. If you've ever seen that slasher movie, You're Next, it was kind of like the mask in that movie. Not some flimsy plastic thing. It was super detailed and really creepy looking. The guy's partner had basically stood in the middle of the road with his car at the side like he crashed it or something. Then when Mom pulled over to help, he puts on a ski mask. His partner appears with a bunny mask on and then proceeds to rob us before doing something unspeakable to my mom. And it almost killed her. And I mean that both literally and metaphorically. She spent almost 2 weeks in the hospital, and I ended up living with my grandparents for almost a whole year because... Fuck, man. I keep, like, salivating and choking. I must be thinking about chocolate. She spent almost 2 weeks in the hospital, and I ended up living with my grandparents for almost a whole year because she was in and out of various institutions because it messed her up so bad. I hardly got away scot-free either, as I had nightmares about a bunny monster chasing my mom for literally years afterward, with that image being burned into my retina. But like with most things, time is the greatest healer, and as I hit double-digit ages, things eventually got better and we started to live something of a normal life again. Cut to me being 24, still living with my mom, but looking for an apartment to move into because I got a decent paying job with my college degree. The place came unfurnished, so I was looking for cheap furniture and decor for the place, and one of the first places I started looking was CRAIGSLIST. In the for sale section, I started seeing some pretty sweet looking items for sale at bargain bin prices. So I contacted one of the sellers and discovered that it was some guy's granddaughter, so... Fuck, dude, my voice is already cracking. I think from throwing up, too, I kind of fucked up my esophagus. Dude, oh, God. I don't want to drink ever again, man. But honestly, I don't know how to make my birthday stream interesting if I don't drink.
Hey, listen.
Jacob with the 2 says this story got dark real quick and fast. That it did. And Blue Rooster, welcome back for 11 months. And the Butter Sock Call, almost a year, my friend. Thank you, thank you. That image was burnt into my rectum. Estate sales are the best. My sarcophagus, yeah. Do I smoke? I don't know, but I threw up drinking yesterday, and... What are my options on Mr. Nightmare? I've got many options with him. One of them being I listen to him with my right ear. The other, sometimes I listen with my left ear, and I compare and contrast. Sometimes I just stare. I could just sniff glue, yeah, every time somebody donates, I'll just smoke meth. Alright guys, this story's freaking me out, I can't read anymore. What if we do a chocolate tasting array or levels of appetizers you'll reach with donations? That would be nice. That would be nice. We could all get our specific chocolates and eat them all fancy like. Tendu, been in the Buttersock cult for 3.5 years now. That's a long time. Powerade or Gatorade? I don't know, honestly. H2O. In the for sale section, I started seeing some pretty looking... God damn it. In the for sale section, I started seeing some pretty sweet looking items for sale at bargain bin prices. So I contacted one of the sellers and discovered that it was some guy's granddaughter selling off a bunch of his stuff to pay for a care home. The girl seemed really nice, and she even promised me some kind of discount if I bought a bunch of stuff in bulk, which suited me because I needed the stuff fast and I needed a lot of it. We arranged for me to go over to her grandpa's place to check some of the stuff out before I handed over the cash for them. So this one Saturday afternoon, I drove over to the house to start haggling. She introduced herself, was really sweet, but when I saw her grandpa, I realized why they needed the money for a care home. He was in a really, really bad way. Like, I don't know exactly what was wrong with him because I didn't exactly ask any questions about his condition, but if you put a gun to my head, I'd have to say MS or something bad like that. He couldn't move from his wheelchair, he had an oxygen tank, he barely even reacted to his granddaughter introducing me, and he generally looked like he didn't have too many years left. I checked out the main 3 items on my list: a closet, a desk, and a dinner table, and me and the granddaughter agreed on a price for them. I obviously had to arrange a U-Haul to go pick them up and all that stuff, but I figured I could arrange for the following weekend once we'd confirmed the purchases. Once that was done, me and the granddaughter had some coffee together, and she explained that almost everything in the house was for sale. Apparently her grandpa had been something of a wild child in his youth, had been in and out of jail, and although he'd led a much more regular existence after his final stint in jail, he hadn't got a lot saved up for a rainy day. It was a real sad story, and the girl went on to explain that everything they'd piled into the garage was for sale too, and if I wanted to take a look around in there, I was more than welcome to. So, at this stage, I figured I'd just buy a few more things from them, maybe stuff they wouldn't be able to sell easily, knickknacks or whatever, so I could decorate my apartment while the money went to what I considered at the time to be a worthy cause. Honestly, I've never been good with drinking. You know, anytime, ever since I was younger, anytime, I get peer pressured into doing it, and every time I would do it, man, granted, my issue is I go too hard, like when I do it. But in my head, I'm like, I never do it, so I just think to myself, I think to myself that, you gotta get schlizzert. You know what I mean? You gotta get faded. And that's not always the case. And in fact, that's the dumbest possible thing you could do. But I think it's mainly because the people that I hang out with, that's just their approach to drinking is just going ham jam.
Hey, listen.
Jacob with the 5 says, Joel, someone in chat asked if you live in Texas. The answer is Joel lives in the great state of Pennsylvania. Thank you, Jacob, for clarifying. Texas is a big state, though. Sometimes you might live there and have no idea. Nah, it's all good. I'm a dummy. Dude, yeah, my voice keeps cracking. This is actually kind of bad. I just started. My voice is already kind of fucked. That's what I'm saying. Drinking's bad too for fucking anybody that does voice shit. I'm gonna sound like fucking Miley Cyrus soon. Hell yeah, what's up, guys? It's me, man. You watching Saturday Night Live? Um, Knickknacks. So, at this stage, I figured I'd just buy a few more things from them. Maybe stuff they wouldn't be able to sell easily, knickknacks or whatever, so I could decorate my apartment while the money went to what I considered at the time to be a worthy cause. We finish up the coffee, the girl goes to help her grandpa out with something, and I head out to the garage to check out all the stuff that they piled in there. And boy, do I mean piled. There was a literal mountain of what they considered garbage in there, but some of the stuff I figured I could find a home for. I'm talking stuff like old cookie jars, books, weird little ornaments, all kinds of different things. I start digging through the pile of stuff, placing some of the items I'd considered buying to one side when, suddenly, I spotted something that had me frozen in place. What had obviously been bright white was now dirty gray brown, and all the paint in the eyes and in the mouth was old and peeling. But slowly and surely I recognized what it was. It was something I'd seen. Pineapple helps with sore throats, really? You sound like Dennis Leary when he does the voice box in Oh my god, yeah. Damn, I haven't seen Dennis Leary in a long time. I'm an asshole, I'm gonna get this asshole. It was something I'd seen in probably hundreds of nightmares I had as a kid. Something that had traumatized me and my mom for years and years and years. It was a bunny mask, of the exact same design as the one worn by the guy who'd almost taken my mom from me. I remember looking at it for a few seconds, then kind of stumbling back away from the trash pile in complete disbelief. I told myself there's no way it was the exact same one. I mean, it looked like a mass-produced Easter Bunny mask or something. What does it say? I mean, it looked like a mass-produced Easter Bunny mask or something, definitely the same kind worn by the criminal. Okay. I told myself that there's no way it was the exact same one. I mean, it looked like a mass-produced Easter Bunny mask or something, definitely the same kind worn by that criminal, just not the exact same one. But then I started to piece it together, how Grandpa had been in and out of prison, and it all started to make a horrible kind of sense. I tried to pull myself together, and I think I did a good enough job of it to just bundle up what I'd pulled out from the trash pile before carrying it into the house to talk. I put on my fakest smile, paid for the stuff, then tried to make it sound as natural and innocently curious as possible when I asked the girl what her grandpa had gone to jail for. She was kind of taken aback and didn't know exactly. She just knew that he didn't talk much about it, and neither did her mom. So he figured whatever it was. It must have been something he was pretty ashamed of. I then asked if I could go into the room with the guy to thank him personally, insisting when the girl said he might not be able to really hear me, and if he did, he probably wouldn't respond in any way. I said it was okay, still maintaining my composure as I insisted on going into his room to thank him. The girl must have thought I was pretty weird by that point. Sweet maybe, but definitely kind of strange. Yet still, she let me go into her grandpa's room to thank him. I really did try my absolute best to maintain my composure, but by the time I got to the guy's bedroom door, my hand was shaking when I grabbed the handle to open it. When I walked in, there he was, sitting in his wheelchair, not even looking to see who walked into the room. His granddaughter had positioned him in front of a TV, but he wasn't really watching it. It looked like he was just kind of staring into space. I sat down on the bed near him, just kind of arranging my thoughts at first, and as I asked him my first question, I started to wonder, what in God's name was I thinking? I asked him something like, "Where were you living around in December of 1987? It didn't even get so much as a nod from him. He just kept this empty stare fixed on the wall in front of him. I actually wanted to just get up and leave, wondering if my questions would just end up confusing or upsetting a sick old man. But there was some part of me that just wouldn't let me leave without asking him the other questions. The scared little girl in me that wanted answers, who just didn't want to be scared anymore. I was hoping that he'd say something. Say anything to me about the map. Wait. Okay. Your thumbnails are fantastic. Are they original pieces for your video? Oh yeah, that's from Robin. Well, usually Robin does most of them. Robin Mikalsen. I usually, if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I usually post the thumbnails to like promote the video, and I usually tag him in most of them. So please do go give him some love. Or commissions too. I'm sure he's always open to commissions. Oh, the moon. Oh yeah, it's a blood moon tonight. An eclipse or something. The blood sunflower beast eclipse. The eclipse. Rabino. Robbo. Oh, you eat the whole pineapple. Holy shit. That's crazy. I mean, that's, well, not, I love pineapple, honestly, but yeah, I think it's like very acidic and kind of like either give you like acid reflux or kind of definitely erode some aspect of your mouth. But what's crapping, guys? Welcome. Eclipse in Scorpio? What does that mean, in Scorpio? Is that like the sky location or something? Is there an actual scorpion about to sting the moon? I was hoping he'd say something. Say anything to me about the mask I found in the garage. But as it turned out... Wait. Excuse me. Sorry. I think I started a sentence too early there. But there was some part of me that just wouldn't let me leave without asking him the other questions. The scared little girl in me that wanted answers, who just didn't want to be scared anymore. I was hoping he'd say something. Say anything to me about that mask I found in the garage. But as it turned out, I didn't need his words to know he could hear me. Then before I could even think to stop, I asked him, "Did you rob a woman with a kid in her car back around Christmas time of that year?" Nothing moved, but his eyes, which pitched up from the spot he was looking at as he began to stare at something else. But this time, it wasn't like he was just staring into oblivion. It was like he was thinking, remembering. I told him that his granddaughter had told me he'd been in and out of jail, and although he hadn't told me exactly what for, that I thought I knew what one of the sentences was for. He stayed quiet, but his jaw began to gently tremble, almost like he was trying to say something, but couldn't. What I said next was basically a lie. I didn't know it 100%, but when I told him, "I know it was you," his reaction confirmed it in my head. I know he was hardly capable of effectively communicating, but anyone else would have at least been indignant about the whole thing, maybe looked angry or confused. But even in his condition, he looked filled with regret. I saw tears welling up in his eyes as the frustration of not being able to talk began to overwhelm him. At least, that's what I figured his reaction was. I don't know if he wanted to tell me to go kick rocks or if he was sorry or what, but I didn't care for anything he had to say at that point. I just had one more thing to say to him before I got up and walked out. "You almost ruined my life. You don't deserve to be in that chair." He actually let out a kind of whimper as I stood up and walked out. And when the guy's granddaughter stopped me to say thank you, I disguised the emotion I was feeling by telling her that myself and her grandpa had shared quite an emotional exchange of gratitude, and that I was sorry if I agitated him. I guess she thought it was kind of sweet, and I honestly hope she never finds out the truth, but after getting back into my car, I only made it about 2 blocks before I pulled over and just started bawling. I was filled with doubt. Like, the thing that got me crying was the idea that I might have just seriously distressed a sick old man. But this other voice in my head just kept saying, that was him. I know it was him. It had to be him. When I regained my composure, I drove over to my mom's place to tell her about it, and we both cried together when she said she also thought it was the same guy. I asked her if anyone was caught for what happened to us, and she said yes, that they were sent to jail as a result, and she had to appear in court to testify. That was part of the whole reason I was staying with my grandparents during that period. The whole court appearance thing just weighed so heavily on her mental health.
Listen.
I actually had no idea anyone was caught for it up until that moment. I was always under the impression that no one had been arrested, and I grew up knowing better than to bring it up with my mom. I mean, I still wouldn't have ever really spoken to her about it if it wasn't for that chance encounter, and part of me wondered if she'd even really believe me. It was only when I described what the guy looked like that it actually clicked for her, as at first she just refused to believe it. It seemed like the perfect karma for the guy, almost too perfect an end. What the fuck is going on? This is weird. Lynn with the 2 says, getting baked, doing a puzzle, and listening to you. Hell yeah. What's the puzzle about? Is it a picture of a daisy? Did you see NASA released a video of the black hole and they amplified its sound? Oh, I didn't hear the sound. I did hear that they somehow compiled a picture of it, but I was always confused how they do pictures of black holes, because doesn't it just absorb all light or something like that, so you can't even... I wasn't even, honestly, to be honest with you, I wasn't even sure that they even knew... I don't know much about black holes. Isn't it most of it just like implied science? Can I dance? Yeah, I'm pretty fucking good at dancing. Fucking feeling the vibes, feeling the beat. You know I can move my feet. Does anyone have eclipse superstitions? My grandma said to wear metal near the uterus for some reason. She was a wise woman. That's awesome. I have mine. I have my metal underwear, my chainmail underwear on right now. I would hate for anything uncouth to occur. It seemed like the perfect karma for the guy. Like too perfect an end to a story, and I don't believe endings like that happen very often in life. In the months that followed, it felt like a great weight had been lifted from our shoulders. Nothing could ever change the past or undo the trauma we both experienced, but knowing the guy was suffering in such a way was almost like proof that there was a God. I know that might sound a little unhinged, but I can't really think of another way to phrase it. I guess I still don't quite believe in happy endings, and I still think the world is a cold, cruel place, but I know from experience that there is such a thing as divine justice. Yeah, I need to protect my tramp stamp so the UV rays from the blood moon don't boil it off. Also, that story is pretty wild that we just read there, but I'm like half also wondering if that person just fucking like scared the shit out of just some random old guy, you know what I mean? Did you see Doctor Strange 2? I've never even seen Doctor Strange Uno. I've seen a little bit of it, but I think I stopped a little way through it, or just like caught a gist of it on a side note. You know what I mean? Like you're at somebody's house and it was like on or whatever. But you're supposed to hide your crystals. Well, you probably want to hide your crystals during an eclipse, because otherwise, if if Kip, your brother Kip, buys a time machine off of eBay, and your crystals are compromised due to their, vibrational frequencies, you might not be able to travel back in time, so you can throw the game-winning touchdown for your uncle. But Uncle Rico, he could throw it. He could throw a football a quarter mile. He could probably throw it over those mountains. Anyone else doing any sort of crystal spiritual cleansing, grounding rituals or anything during the lunar moon? Crystal mommies. Thursday is probably the last time I'll be able to attend the streams until the end of summer, unless I'm chilling in the mornings while I'm away. Oh shit, you got work or something like that, or school? School. Yeah. Hide your crystal meth. The lunar cops are coming. Astrology police, freeze! We found out that you're a Gemini. We can't be having you operate heavy machinery. You're more of a DC girl, but Doctor Strange is actually decent. Interesting. You're more of a DC girl. Because a lot of DC content is pretty much only existent within like comic book form, right? Because there's not like a lot of movies, I feel like, lately. Maybe I'm mistaken. And a lot of the movies have been kind of like unfun to watch compared to like Marvel stuff, or like less comedic or something. Or less times that Tony Stark says, well, this was awkward, after he blows up an entire apartment building filled with people. Whoops. Freeze in the name of Saturn. Did you know that when they say don't operate heavy machinery, it's referring to a car and driving? Oh, I thought it was just a forklift. Either way, thankfully I drive a forklift everywhere I go, so I'm not certified, but I figured it out. I'm just kind of like one of those guys that likes to like pick up and play, you know what I mean? I don't really got time for like any owner's manual or whatever. Tonight is energizing your crystal meth. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh. I mean, I'm not letting that eclipse anywhere near my crystals. I'm smoking them after the moon. Oh no, what if they are energizing the crystals and then you smoke them later and you see the fucking future, man? Do you know if a real crystals together, they will glow, but they might need to be a certain type of crystal? Where are you guys getting your crystals? Is there like a dealer, or do you go to like Hot Topic? Like, where do you guys get your crystals at? Do you mine them? Do you go down in the mines? That's where I would go. If I honestly, if I was someone that really cared about crystals, I wouldn't be dealing with those like bullshit mom and pop head shop nonsense. I would be going down into the mines, find something authentic. You know what I mean? But it's not necessarily my passion right now, so I just get it from Johnny on the corner. All right, so that was that story. This is this one. Yeah, you can't know your crystals are legit unless you are down at least 200 to 300 meters in some sort of subterranean layer. Like, that's pretty much the bare minimum that you're gonna have to go. Mind your manners. Let me tell you the story of how I developed social Let me tell you the story of how I developed social anxiety disorder. I used to work night shifts, so I sleep during the daytime, and a few years ago I woke up to some pretty terrible news. I had a bunch of missed calls and unread text messages from my landlord and the... I had a bunch of missed calls and unread text messages from my landlord, and they were telling me to call them as soon as possible. I called my landlord, and he tells me that there's a leak in the apartment downstairs, and once they've figured... Damn. I called my landlord first, and he tells me that there's a leak in the apartment downstairs. God, if it's not one thing, it's another, dude. What's up, Cole? What's crappin'? Cole Train. I'm more talking about witches, Wiccans, crystals, and pagan Nordic people who use crystals for pain. Like to cause people pain. Like if I say I was... Okay, so hypothetically I'm down in the mines, right? Is there a way to differentiate like which crystals will cause pain for people as opposed to which ones will get me stoned out of my fucking mind and make me feel like I can fly? Like how do I tell? I had a bunch of missed calls and unread text messages from my landlord. They were telling me to call them as soon as possible. I called my landlord and he tells me that there's a leak in the apartment downstairs, one that they figured was coming from my apartment. As a result, they'd shut off the water to my apartment while I was asleep. That meant no shower, no coffee. I couldn't even flush my own toilet. The only consolation was that I'd found a plumber to fix... The only consolation was that I'd found a plumber to find and fix the leak, and he'd reimburse me the money if I kept a receipt or invoice. Now it's already around 3 in the afternoon when I learned the news about the water being shut off, which was obviously coming up to the end of most people's working days. I knew of a few emergency plumbers who might be able to deal with the problem at short notice, but all of them seemed to be too busy to take the job. I ended up calling around to a few friends to see if I could stay at their place until the problem was dealt with, and luckily, one of my girlfriends was more than willing to take me in. But she also threw me a kind of Hail Mary suggestion as to where I could find someone who wasn't a pro, but knew enough about plumbing to be able to come over and help. CRAIGSLIST. I didn't think it'd be much help, but I mean, I figured most people used to sell stuff and organize CD hookups or whatever. Wait, what? Oh my god. You could probably get crystals on Craigslist. Is that where, do you guys get them there? Where do you... You probably wouldn't want a crystal from Craigslist. Probably doesn't even glow. Thank you, Cole. You must decide wisely. Choose your next story wisely. It may be your last. Just kidding. Yeah, why is this Craigslist crystal stinky? I keep smelling it. It smells like Uncle Rico's butt. I didn't think it'd be much help. I mean, I figured most people would just use it to sell stuff and organize CD hookups or whatever, but then again, I hadn't actually visited the site all that much, and to my surprise, there was a section of the services part of the site that was called... Dude, fuck me, man. I need a crystal. Does anybody have any throat crystals? Because... I keep getting random squeaks. Oh, obsidian stone? Is that what you got on Craigslist? Are you sure that it's... You might want to wash it off first before you know, do whatever you're going to do with it. Disinfect it a little bit. Joe, what famous person do you resemble? Probably like Steve Urkel a little bit. Steve Urkel mixed with like another Steve from Blue's Clues, but with like the personality of like, well, not necessarily the personality, but the courage of Steve Irwin, and just an absolute love for orangutans. Yeah, Johnny Sins. It's impossible to replicate the appearance of Johnny because he's always at a new profession. Do you warm up your vocal cords before you chat for hours? I do not, no. But normally I don't have an issue, but like I said, I was throwing up last night from alcohol, and I think that fucked up my esophagus, my electronic esophagus. You're a complete nerd, bro. This is true. But you just wait. You just wait till I get back from the mines and I get the crystals that make you look fucking like Wesley Snipes when he's in Blade. I'm gonna put them in my teeth. I'm gonna put crystals in my like canines. I'm gonna get, oh dude, I'll get crystal grills. Holy shit, that would be sick. Crystal grills. Every fucking blood moon is gonna be nasty. I'll smile and like probably blind somebody. Shing. Do you spike your hairs? Just my chest hairs and back hairs. Do you do a handstand with drinking beer? Oh yeah. Every drink I take is a handstand. Like every time you guys hear me take a sip here, I'm upside down. So let me see a video of you and Fifi. Who's Fifi? Lapis Lazuli. That'd be a great stage name. Yeah, with frosted tips. Just the tip. I didn't think it'd be much help. I mean, I figured most people would just use it to sell stuff and organize seedy hookups or whatever. But then again, I hadn't actually visited the site all that much, and to my surprise, there was a section of the services part of the site that was called Household. Then, what do you know? The third post down said something like, 37-year-old handyman looking for work, with the post saying how he knew a little about everything and would take jobs at short notice at really low prices. It seemed way too good to be true, and I suppose that's because it was. I give the guy a call on the number he'd included in his post and explain the situation to him. Honestly, I expected that he'd give me the sorry, too busy line that all the others had. You'd think they'd at least arrange a time to take the job. But no, he seemed only too happy to drive out to me that evening to see if he could shut off the leaky pipe, then go turn my water back on. I was literally like, all my prayers had been answered. I mean, the guy even said it himself that it sounded like a relatively simple job, and he was amazed another plumber hadn't come out already to just open up the floorboards, close off the pipe, then turn the water back on. I knew absolutely nothing about it, so when he said opening up the floorboards or whatever, and how that was a simple process, I just totally ate it up. About an hour or so after I'd made the first phone call, the guy shows up to my apartment and tells me he's outside. I realized that I'd totally forgotten to tell him which apartment I was in, so I let him know and I buzz him in. The guy then shows up at my door looking totally legit, and I show him into the bathroom, which was where the landlord thought the leak was coming from. I then went back to my TV room and carried on preparing my very late breakfast. Remember, I worked night shifts at the time. A few minutes later, the guy, who called himself Tony, calls me into the bathroom and says something like, "Does this look right to you?" I then walk towards the bathroom, stick my head around the door to take a peek, and that's the last thing I remember. The next thing I know, there's a bright light in front of me, and I groggily realize that it's coming from the little pen flashlight of an EMT checking if I'm responsive or not. I start panicking, asking what's going on, and they keep telling me, sorry. Just need to open up these floorboards. CD hookups. Yeah, you know, compact disc hookups. Yeah. We'll just open the floorboards up and put you in there real quick. I start panicking, asking what's going on, and they tell me to keep still while they get a stretcher up to my apartment. They put me on it, wheel me out into the hallway outside, and there's the friend who had agreed to let me stay at her place. She's in tears, asking the EMT if I'm going to be okay, and I remember just relaxing and sinking into the stretcher when I heard them say yes. I just felt like I wanted to sleep for days, but when I told the EMTs that I was feeling tired and could I just nap while they were driving me to the hospital, they kept telling me to stay awake, to do anything I could to stay awake. In the end, they kept asking me these dumb small talk style questions to just keep me talking. Then at the hospital, I'm pretty sure they gave me something to keep me from drifting off because apparently falling asleep with a head injury can actually be fatal. And not long after, the cops showed up to take a statement about the plumber guy from me. They'd gone through my place and found a bunch of valuables missing. Obvious stuff too, like the TV being gone from the mount on the wall, all my jewelry gone, with my bedroom completely ransacked. Only then did I actually put two and two together and realize what had happened. That wasn't a plumber at all. He hadn't even touched anything in my bathroom. He just used the whole handyman thing as a front to rob people. One of the cops told me that I was the fourth person to get robbed by the same handyman guy that month, only because he uses different phone numbers and never told anyone much about himself. They hadn't been able to track him down. As far as I know, they never caught the guy. He just pulled a few robberies, then quit when the public got a warning about hiring anonymous handymen on the internet. Maybe he's still out there, robbing people, doing his thing, switching it up and not getting caught. And I hope those other people he'd robbed and beat got over what happened to him. But I didn't. Like I said, I developed a serious anxiety disorder after the attack, and it hit me in a way I just didn't expect. Bad things happen to good people sometimes, I know that, and I took a lot of comfort in knowing that the cops were at least closing the net around the guy. But then after I got out of the hospital, it must have been like 2 or 3 days before I realized I hadn't even left the house. I got nervous getting food from the... Read the outro in an Irish accent. Oh, you know, we perhaps could do that, even though I'm not very good at it. Oh. Sheena Bud with the 5 says traditional medicinal brand teas has a tea called Throat Coat. It is magical. It numbs your throat. It was awesome when I had the stomach flu. Oh, interesting. Let me write that down. Traditional medicinal brand tea. Traditional medicinal brand tea. And it's called Throat Coat. Sounds a little inappropriate. Just kidding. But is that on the Amazons, I wonder? I guess it doesn't matter. We'll find it. But I appreciate that. I wonder if that'll be helpful just as a pre-tea or pre-stream tea in general. Thanks, Jacob. Cybecker. Appreciate you. Someone timestamp later when Joel said he looks like who and who. You're gonna make a mock-up. You're gonna make a Photoshop squishing together. Joel wore green once and absorbed an entire leprechaun. Every now and then, the leprechaun tries to escape, hence the accent slipping. Let me out of there, would you? Come on, I'll give you some gold. Could do a good-ass Eric Cartman. No, Kenny, that's my papa. No, Kenny, you're my papa. Kenny, No, can you eat my pepper? That's like season 1, Eric. And then like as the years went on, I kind of like that about Family Guy and really just any show, I guess. I just like the develop how like certain characters' voices sort of change over time, or like the way their character acts changes over time. Like obviously South Park was a lot more brash when it started out, but then it started to get a little bit more nuanced with like the characters and their motivations as time went on. Same with like Family Guy. Like Stewie was the evil genius, and then he like slowly became sort of like the effeminate, I don't know, evil genius mix.
Hey, listen.
South Park is your religion. South Park's pretty good. What's his name? Meat Canyon just released a video about Family Guy today. I guess that's what I was thinking. He made a video, and basically it's like, remember the time you like Family Guy? Because I didn't know. Is it not cool to like Family Guy or something right now? Is that like I don't know, a meme amidst the Zoomers or something where Family Guy is derivative or something like that? I don't even know. Like, because I think Family Guy's awesome. There were some people who said that like South Park was better, but like I just thought Family Guy had like better writing. All the cutaways they did, like South Park made fun of those, but like I've talked about this before, but like the fact that they do so many cutaways allows them to sort of present so many bits, you know what I mean? So many little comedic side jokes that South Park just doesn't have the time for, you know what I mean? And these cutaways, like they allow, and it can be so random too, which I think is a lot of fun. So you can just like think of different stuff as a writer. Sheena Bud with the 2 says you can buy it in the tea aisle. Okay, well I appreciate that. I will be looking for it. Thank you for the suggestion and the 2. American Dad is great. Yeah, that's the thing. American Dad and Cleveland Show were one of those like, especially American Dad, they were like something that gained more popularity as time went on, which I found interesting, because they were kind of like, they weren't really performing all that well, like middle, you know, like around the time Family Guy was, you know, people were like stoked about the new season of Family Guy, but then as time went on, American Dad really started to pop off. Family Guy and especially South Park are the reasons I curse so much. My parents used to turn on the South Park movie for car trips. I grew up watching that. That's funny, yeah. It's good stuff. Kyle's mom's a bitch and a big ass bitch and a big ass bitch and the whole wide world. Orange or apple? I mean, I guess they kind of serve different purposes, but I do like apples a lot, especially with peanut butter. I got nervous getting food from the delivery guys that dropped it off at my apartment building, but I figured that feeling would just go away after a while. Only it didn't. I got this tight feeling in my chest, this itchy feeling all over me, whenever anyone I didn't know walked outside my apartment or outside in the hallway. I still sometimes find myself running to the people with the gun I bought, staring through the little glass circle and just waiting to see the face of the guy who robbed me on the other side. I know I'm never going to see it either, but I still find myself doing it. I got a nasty little scar on my jawline from where the guy hit me, and even the EMTs said I must have had a steel skeleton or something because it's a miracle my jaw wasn't broken. But I guess I got a lot of scars that people can't see, along with a wound that I'm not sure will ever properly heal. American Dad is really good, dare I say better than Family Guy. Dare I say, even better than Family Guy. Yeah, honestly, there is some shit on that like, I don't know. I always like joked growing up, I was like, you know, Family Guy was like the lead writers of the show, or of like, you know, that sort of Fox ran animation team with like Seth MacFarlane, and then like down below that, like the backup writers were like American Dad, and then the beginner writers that were just getting hired would write for Cleveland Show or something like that. But now I think at this point there's probably a myriad of different writers, and you never know what you're going to get on there. Shut up and read the story. No you. No talent hack. Jesus. Go to bed, son. Help me. Thank you, thank you. Banana or berries? Bananas are berries? Aqua Teen Hunger Force, what a show. Robot Chicken. Yeah, that whole line. I love that late night shit on Adult Swim. Jacob with the 2 says, Joel, King of the Hill was awesome back. I know, yeah, King of the Hill, like... And I did see, like, a tweet where some guy was working in Japan at a factory, and he said he overheard, like, 2, you know, like, Japanese engineers talking about King of the Hill and, like, saying that it was... They're like, oh, no, you have to listen to it without the dub. It's so much better. And he was like, and that's when it confirmed to me that King of the Hill was an American anime. God dang it, Bobby. And Sonia, thanks for the 5. Thank you, thank you.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, there's a lot of grumpy boys on here sometimes. Like, they just get so mad that I'm not, like, I don't know, getting on my knees and begging for their affection or some shit. It's fucking weird. Like, everyone, I mean, you know, like, when you get in here, like, oh, it's a stream, you know what I mean? Like, or I can go listen to the other stuff. Like, just go do that. I'll eventually get to it, but I don't understand why people have to come in and be stinker butts about it. It's whatever. Yeah, Bob's Burgers is great. Bob's Burgers is one of those shows where I'm never, like, laughing, like, out loud, like, insane, but I just always feel very content. How would someone get a story to you to tell? Yeah, so you can submit it to my subreddit, reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial, and or you can email it if it's easier to letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. How often do I get haters? I mean, it's here and there. I usually just ignore them, but sometimes people in chats just... Honestly, I've come to this conclusion, especially existing online for a while, that a lot of the times, like, people... Like, okay, it's like a narcissistic behavior. It's a narcissistic tendency I've figured out of interacting with a lot of people online as time has gone on, is that, like... So, a lot of people will say good comments, like super nice stuff. I appreciate it. But then there's the people who realize that, like, they're not getting the attention that they desire, right? So, like, there's some sort of, like, switch in their brain that, like, flips, and they think, oh, the way that I get attention is, like, changing the script and being negative to this person, you know what I mean? So in their, like, sort of narcissistic or even childlike mind, they think that the only way to get attention, and it doesn't even matter if it's good or bad, is to be, you know, inappropriate or rude or something like that, you know. Hence why I think whenever, like, people send me those, like, death threats and shit like that, like, I really don't think that they mean it. I just think that they're, like, I don't know, just they want attention. Like, deep down there's, like, some weird shit. Jacob with the 5 says, Joel, someone in chat thinks it's time for push-ups. I'll do oh, fuck. All right. Yeah, let's do some push-ups. We'll take out that aggression.
Hey, listen.
I start my first day of my new job tomorrow. Wish me luck. Good luck to you. You got this. Holy shit. 38 push-ups. Do I remember when you said devour these nuts? I don't. Did you trick me with one of your world famous joke setups? Alright, friends. 38 push-ups. Fuck it. Let's do it. If you have been following along with me and going up 1 rep each time, you don't have to do 38. You can do whatever you did last time. What do I think of Phantom Librarian? I wish he would come back. I haven't seen that guy in a long... That's a name I've not heard in a long time. What about candies? You're gonna eat 38 candies? That's fine too. But yeah, if you did sit-ups, do sit-ups. If you do You know, squatties, do squatties. Cam's collection with the 10 Canadian says, love your stuff. Your streams are chill as heck. I like hearing you talk about normal stuff rather than the tragic stuff 24/7. I know, it's a nice little change up. And thank you so much, Cams. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well up in Canada. All right. Let me make some room. Some scroom. Do you listen to Someone That's No One, the drug trip report guy? I don't think so. I don't think I've heard of him. You can barely do one push-up. That's okay. You can do progression stuff. Or, you know, do squats or something, or you don't have to do anything either. You can just chill. All right. Fuck. I feel, I don't even know, especially after, maybe this will be a good way to detox. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Oh, fuck. It was weird, though. It might be me. Like, look at Pradeep behind me. He's just, like, curled in a ball. Doesn't give a shit that I'm dying. That was weird, though. Like, every time I went down, it just felt like I was getting, like, sort of, like, electric tingles through my triceps. Maybe they were coated in alcohol and they were just breaking apart, waking up or something. Oh, fuck. Watch me do 3 push-ups and immediately vomit. That's fair. You gotta start somewhere. 3 push-ups, 1 vomit. Wait, 3 push-ups and 35 ounces of vomit. Ready, go. Just kidding. The only thing that makes me want to throw up when I work out is running. Running is the one thing that can, especially sprints. There's something about sprints that just make me want to be sick. Joe already thick with those little shorts on. I'm actually wearing jeans. It kind of feels weird to do push-ups in jeans, but I used to do 500 sit-ups and 200 squats a night. Holy shit, that's a lot. I feel like that would take forever. Jacob with 2 says, I did all of them barely. Hell yeah, Jacob. Stronger every day, baby. Your neighbors would complain if you did push-ups? Or from the vomit. Pradeep share. By the way, the puzzle is a dessert campfire. Wait, what? Oh yeah, also there's a picture of Pradeep on Twitter. He got into the cottage cheese. It's pretty funny.
Hey, listen.
My sleeping jeans, yeah. In case I pass out, I'm ready to go. Looking in the mirror after working out makes you want to barf. It's all good. Eventually you'll look in the mirror and be like, damn. What up? Running is the devil's creation, especially when he sends one of his creatures to chase you. Am I a cat person? You know, growing up I was a dog person for show. I didn't understand cats at all. But then I got Pradeep because he was the only pet I was allowed to have at my old apartment. And then I got used to having him, but I kind of like raised him like a dog, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of like just very aggressively loving him. Because I feel like some people are like they're so, I don't know, they're so casual, like they're so, how do you say, like they're not very affectionate with their cat. They kind of just like let their cat do their thing, and And I'm like, if my cat's not giving me attention, I will go get them and give them hugs and smooches, and I don't even care. But like, you know, because with a dog, like a dog's gonna love that, and that's kind of like what I grew up with. But most cats that I've come across, they're definitely not quite like Pradeep. Pradeep is, I mean, he still has like cat-like tendencies, but he's pretty cool. What up, childhood dog people turned cat people? I do want to get a dog at some point, but I feel like I would want like, I don't know, maybe like a family first or something, so in case I need to go somewhere, I'm not like just leaving the dog by himself or at like a kennel or something like that. I do love dogs though. My parents have two. The one's a black lab and she's insane, but she is cute as heck. Your highest was 7 push-ups to Joel, so I'm had. Nice. Oh, you did 9. Let's go. A new record. Yeah, dogs are quite needy as well, yeah. Like if I'm recording, like I'd have to worry about if my dog wanted to go shit or something, you know what I mean? Or like start barking at some random crap. You have 9 cats. Holy shit, you could make like you could sew them together into a boyfriend or something. No, I'm just kidding. I can't find your Twitter. There's too many Let's Reads on there. Really? Oh, interesting. It's called at Let's Read Creepy. It's got my typical avatar with the astronaut skeleton. You're literally wearing stretchy jean shorts. Hell yeah, that sounds fucking... I want a pair of those. How would Pradeep feel about getting a dog? He'd probably freak the fuck out and probably swat it in the face many times. You got hamsters. That's cool. Your cat is pregnant again? Oh my god, Fry. You gotta keep that thing under control. So, way back when the PS3 first came out, I really, really wanted one. I mean, I wanted one bad. The main reason was because I wanted to play Call of Duty 3, which is still my favorite game series ever. But since my idiot self was slow on pre-ordering one, I was SOL when it came to the actual release date. I remember watching eBay like a hawk, scouring CRAIGSLIST every day, and day after went by. I remember watching eBay like a hawk, scouring CRAIGSLIST every day, and day after day went by and I didn't have any luck at all. But then boom, I see this one post on CRAIGSLIST that said a guy was selling his brand new PlayStation 3, Call of Duty 3 included, and he's selling both of them for like $400, at least $100 below asking price. Only thing was, he needed to sell it ASAP, and he needed someone to drive over to him to pick it up. Person that could pay his asking price and pick up ASAP got the package. Somehow, I got lucky, real lucky, and a lot of folks were Somehow, I got lucky, real lucky, and a lot of folks were messaging him for it and sounded like they were going to rob him. I was older than most of the wannabe buyers. I could text him a picture of the cash and I could drive over to the Walmart parking lot that night to be able to pick it up. And I felt like a kid at Christmas. Granted that most kids don't drive to Santa to pay him $400 to get their presents, but still, I was majorly excited to pick it up. Only trouble was, the guy was working late that night, so I'd have to drive over to the Walmart parking lot at like 2 in the morning so I could pick it up. I know what you're thinking. Walmart parking lot at 2 a.m. Something bad was always going to happen. And yeah, I'd be lying if I said it hadn't passed my mind when I was thinking about the whole thing. I think I made myself clear at the beginning though. I wanted that stupid World War II game, and the amount I wanted it outweighed whatever good sense I had. So, that's how I ended up in the Walmart parking lot in South Hanover Way. So, that's how I ended up in the Walmart parking lot in South Hanover Way. Oh, I see what they're saying. I thought it was like South Hanover Way, but it's... something else. So, that's how I ended up in the Walmart parking lot in South Hanover, way, way after dark. Like I said, there was always a chance something bad was going to happen. I just figured it'd be from the other end of the law. I'm just sitting there, lacking, when I heard someone tapping on the glass in my driver's side window, and I saw the gun. I thought I was getting carjacked or something. They got me out of the car at gunpoint, but then when I saw the badge on the dude in plainclothes belt, I honestly breathed a sigh of relief at first. I knew my reason for being there sounded sketchy. Picking up a PlayStation 3 at 2 in the morning would have sounded really sus if I was a cop. But then when they pulled the $400 in cash out of my wallet and said that they were confiscating it as suspected earnings for drugs, I started to get real angry. I told them to search my car for drugs or guns or whatever they were looking for. If they didn't find anything, they had no right to take my money. One of the cops, Kirks, when I Oh, he smirks. One of the cops smirks when I said that, though, screaming up in my face and threatening to smack me. His partner had to calm down. God damn it. Kirk smirks. His partner had to calm me down, like, not hit me, fuck, sorry. His partner had to calm him down like he was legitimately worried that he was about to punch me. The angry cop walks back to their unmarked car and the other cop writes up a ticket for the cash they took. And while he does that, he apologizes for his partner and promises if I bring some pay stubs to the precinct, I'll get all my money back, no problems. I'm angry. I'm probably going to miss out on the PlayStation, and I figured the guys are just doing their good job. Why am I fucking up so much? I don't know why. This story's like messing with me. I'm angry. I'm probably going to miss out on the PlayStation, but I figured the guys are just doing their jobs. Their globs. I'm angry. I'm probably going to miss out on the PlayStation, but I figured the guys are just doing their jobs, and getting it taken by them was much better than getting straight up robbed and carjacked by dudes that wouldn't have been so reluctant to beat me down. Because I figured I could still get my hands on the PlayStation, I drove over to the precinct first thing in the morning with some pay stubs, which I figured would prove the money was mine. I get there, hand in my ticket, and some cop walks out with an evidence bag with my money in it. Only right as she puts it down in front of me, I tell her there must be some kind of mistake. I tell her the cops pulled me out of my car and took exactly $400 off of me, but in the bag, there was no more than $100. She then shows me the ticket, and in the little box that listed confiscated items, it says $100 instead of $400. Right then, it was my turn to smirk. Wait, what the fuck is the word Kirk? They actually just used the word Kirk again. What the fuck is kirking? What? I'm so confused. What the fuck is the word Kirk? Kirk. Kirk? I don't see any definition for it. It's a place in Scotland meaning church. Did they actually mean to say the word Kirk? Kirk Cameron? Yeah, maybe it's Kirk Cameron. My turn to Kirk Cameron. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what they're trying to say. Right then, it was my turn to Kirk. Like, I couldn't believe they'd do that. Why would it be a church, though? It's saying right then it was my turn to Kirk. Like, what is... Like, it would have to be a verb, right? Like, it's not like a noun, but it's like saying that it's a noun. Is it Yeah, it's Captain Kirk. Irk? My turn to irk? I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know why it would be smirk this time, because it says right then it was my turn to Kirk. Like I legit couldn't believe they'd do me like that. Yeah, maybe they meant twerk. It's not smirk though, because why would he be smirking? I thought I changed it from the first part where the cop said he kirked, because I thought they meant smirk, and it made sense in that scenario because the cop was like, huh, this punk thinks he can say anything to me, or you know what I mean? And it was like a corrupt cop or whatever. But in this situation, it's like this guy's directly referring back to that word in the form of a verb, but I have no fucking clue what a kirk. What the fuck is a kirk? Oh, Urban Dictionary? Aloof, mysterious, misunderstood, creative, wise, understanding, empathetic, carries the weight of the world on his shoulders, constantly thinking big, humanitarian. I have no fucking. That's not it. That's like used as a noun. Stop overthinking, broski. All right. It just annoys me. Like what? Like this person. I don't know. Like what? I'm trying to like get in their head. You know what I mean? To understand like what the fuck they're talking about, or what like what. I don't know. Whatever. What's it? Right then, it was my turn. Right then, it was my turn to freak out. Like I couldn't believe that they do me like that. I started demanding complaint forms, numbers to call, all of that. The lady just thought I was sizing up the amount. Sizing? D-Shore with the 814 says, hi, hope everyone is having the most lovely night ever. Thank you, D-Shore. We certainly are. The lady just thought that I was sizing up the amount, but I swear to God I had more money than that. So she gives me the number to call to register a complaint, which I do. I know. Cops on the take around Baltimore's... What are these terms, dude? I know. Cops on the take around Baltimore is probably only raising eyebrows. What's the take? Alexa and Cashew with the two says to go crazy, to flip out, to wig out. Really? It's a slang word? Because I'm looking at Urban Dictionary where you think it would fall. Oh, there it is, yeah. I just had to scroll down a little bit more. To go crazy, to flip out, to wig out. Timmy kirked out when he saw the guitar solo. Huh. Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Maybe it's just it's a gamer word. Something people used to use when they played PlayStation 3. I know. Cops on the take around Baltimore is probably one raising I know. Cops on the take around Baltimore is... I can't understand what the fuck this is saying. I know. Cops on the take around Baltimore is probably only raising eyebrows. Oh, I see. On the take. I guess on the take means like robbing people. What the fuck is on? On the take is an idiom receiving a bribe's income from... Majority of politicians are on the take. That's the reason for the biggest corporations to have the greatest influence on the legislation. You're naive if you think there aren't cops on the take in this town. That sounds like a fucking British saying. You're on the take. These copies are on the take. I know. The cops taking bribes around Baltimore is probably only raising eyebrows with the most naive of you, but missing out on the PS3 wasn't the scary thing. The scary thing was coming home from work 3 days later and seeing a car I didn't recognize parked across the street. I didn't immediately assume anything bad. I just wondered who in the neighborhood got themselves a new set of wheels. That's when I see him, the same plainclothes cop that wanted to tee off on me that night. The same cop who took my money. He just looks at me, dead in the eyes and smiles before driving off down the block. It was just like a warning or something, just to tell me he knew I made the complaint. If criminals or gangsters do stuff, it shakes you up, sure, but it makes sense. Those jaunts aren't... Jaunts? What the fuck is a jaunt? I feel like there's a lot of like forced slang in this shit that I can't... Jaunt. Hey yo, pass me that jaunt. Jaunt, a synonym words for things, stuff. I thought it was a John. That jaunt. Oh. I feel like that's like an inappropriate use of the word. Yeah, wouldn't it be John's? I've heard that. I heard the phrase John around here, but jaunt sounds like they were trying to say a slang term but didn't know the right slang term. It's like Jonts. I don't even know. Yeah, that was John's. And that's like a Philly word from like 10 years ago, which is funny. I mean, maybe people still say John, but... Those Johns aren't supposed to rob you or shoot you or whatever. But when it's the cops doing it... Oh wait, those Johns are supposed... Those Johns are supposed to rob you. Fuck me, dude. If criminals or gangsters do stuff, it shakes you up, sure, but it makes sense. Those Johns are supposed to rob you or shoot you or whatever. But when it's the cops doing it, the same people who's supposed to protect you, who are you supposed to turn to? Save the lingo for the dingoes. I know, right? It's just like really awkward placement of like slang terms because everything else is grammatically appropriate, but then it's just like a random word like Kirk or jaunt. I don't know. Or on the take. I don't think there's a single person from Baltimore that would ever say the term on the take. Alright. That one. Oh, okay. So I think these... Wait a second. Oh, there's only 6 stories tonight, which we read... We read 3, and now I think the rest are true crime, so... Let's go. Whoa. So the cops are taking the money, hence on the take. No, I understand the phrase, but I don't think it's a phrase that exists within the United States. Like, I've never heard anybody talk about corrupt cops. Like, that just sounds... Yeah, that sounds like an English thing. Your mate was arrested and the cops said, "We got him here, lads," holding up a bag of citric thinking it was Coke. Idiots. What? It's definitely a U.S. phrase? Ah, interesting. I've never heard, especially anyone that would exist within, like, on the streets, ever say he's on the take. That just sounds like, if you ever played that, like, English game, like, The Getaway. When 21-year-old Heather Snively... Oh, shit. Is it Snively? 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 Sorry, I gotta get this person's name right. Also, welcome all 700 people here. Appreciate you. Let's see, I gotta listen to this person. Hey, Kappa. You never catch me, she. Do I have a favorite YouTuber? Not really. Wait. Sorry, I just gotta hear how to say this person's name. Don't go kirking out on us. Snively. Okay. We found it. Sorry. Oi. Oh, a doity kappa, huh? Well, you'll never take me alive, she. Yeah, never take me alive. I already bumped off one of your boys, yes. Truthless, was it? Truthless? Great YouTuber? What's that one about? The closest scary Craigslist story I have was because I decided to buy a motorcycle, so I didn't show. The seller murdered the next person that showed up. Holy shit, really? That's fucking crazy. My one friend got scammed on there. He went to buy a truck or something, and he had like 10 grand. And the guy wanted him to forward the 10 grand like ahead of time or something like that. And so he did. I think he was like 20 or something. He just like didn't know, you know. And then when he shows up there, the guy just like wasn't there and just like deleted everything, and that was it. I was like, shit. You thought Chills was your favorite YouTube person? Yeah, I love Chills. Chills. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of content on YouTube, to be honest, to like really have a favorite person. Jacob with the 2 says, Joel, someone in chat wants you to save them. It's impossible. Only you can save yourself.
Hey, listen.
When 21-year-old Heather Snively discovered she was pregnant, she was over the moon. She and her fiancé, Christopher, had been trying for a baby for quite some time, and once she was expecting, she relocated from her native West Virginia to her fiancé's home state of Oregon so they could raise the child there. June of 2009 marked Heather's 8th month of pregnancy. June of 2009 marked Heather's 8th month of pregnancy with a baby boy she planned to name Jonathan. And based on written communication between Heather and her grandparents, it's quite clear that she was content, excited, and optimistic for the future. Like many expectant mothers, she planned intensively for the journey ahead, working to secure everything her baby might need in the months prior to its arrival. A friend had informed her that a great place to purchase cheap secondhand baby clothes was the classified advertisements website CRAIGSLIST, and during an initial search for baby clothes, she found there was rich pickings. There were rich pickings. Your second husband's the cop, and I heard some of those. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I thought when I hear on the take, it reminds me of on the dole. Like whenever you're getting like government welfare and stuff, they say like on the dole over there. A friend had informed her that a great place to purchase cheap secondhand baby clothes was the classified advertisement. A friend had informed her that a great place to purchase cheap secondhand baby clothes was the classified advertisements website CRAIGSLIST, and during an initial search for baby clothes, she found there were rich pickings. Heather believed that Craigslist was nothing short of a miracle solution to her prenatal predicament, when in reality, her visit to the site would spark off a chain of events leading to one of the most horrific criminal incidents in American history. During one of Heather's Craigslist browsing sessions, she happened across another user by the name of Karina Roberts. Karina was also in the market for baby clothes, and in the course of their conversations, the two women found that they were faced with a very similar issue. It seems that some of the baby clothes each of them had purchased simply weren't to their liking, but neither had the time nor the energy to put the clothes up for sale again. It's then that they agreed on a simple yet effective solution to their problem. They would arrange a meetup in order to peruse each other's collections, then would exchange items they took a liking to. On the day of the proposed meetup, Heather drove over to Karina's home in Oregon's Washington County. It's safe to assume that she was excited to meet another expectant mother, as although she was excited for the birth of her first child, there's no doubt that the stress was mounting as her due date approached. She was also a fresh arrival in Oregon, so there's little to doubt that the prospect of a new and supportive friend was one that Heather found deeply appealing. However, Karina would prove to be anything but a friend to her, and in fact, Heather's meeting with her would amount to the greatest mistake of her young life. At first, Karina warmly welcomed Heather into her home, and a neighbor recalled spotting the two women laughing and smiling as they greeted each other in Karina's driveway. However, once Heather was inside the house, Karina's demeanor changed dramatically, and although it's not clear exactly how the incident began, the attack that Heather was subjected to was brutal in the extreme. Out of nowhere, Karina attacked Heather with a collapsible baton, smashing her around 30 to 40 times over the head until she collapsed to the ground. Forensic analysis later showed that Heather had multiple bite marks on different parts of her body, showing that at some point during the attack, Karina had dropped to the ground with her before savagely sinking her teeth into the poor woman's flesh. Yet as far as an indication of Karina's mindset, the bite marks are just the tip of the iceberg. For Karina was no kindly stranger or potential friend to Heather. She was a dangerously unhinged maniac, and she was obsessed with babies and childbirth. Once Karina was confident that she had snuffed out Heather's life, she calmly walked into the kitchen and retrieved a razor blade which she had stolen from her boyfriend's shaving kit. She then returned to Heather's body, knelt down next to her lifeless form, and began to carefully cut into the deceased woman's stomach. Over the course of the next few minutes, Karina Roberts performed a makeshift cesarean section. Cesarean. Is a cesarean, like, ever related to cesarean section? Cesarean. Oh. Cesarean. Okay. Cesarean section. Okay. They just forgot. They didn't have the word section, so I didn't know if it was, like, possible that you can say it without that. Because it says, like, Karina Roberts performed a makeshift cesarean cutting into open. Okay. Over the course of the next few minutes, Karina Roberts performed a makeshift cesarean section, cutting Heather open before ripping her unborn son from her womb. After stuffing Heather's corpse into a crawl space beneath the house, Karina contacted her boyfriend's place of work and frantically declared that he needed to come home immediately. Jan Shubin. You ever seen the name Shubin? Jan Shubin. Jacob with the 2. Joel, I made a new friend tonight in chat. Nice. Everyone here should be
Listen.
best friends with Jacob. Shuben? Okay. Jan Shuben. Shuben. Well, that's how it's said on the pronunciation, Caesarean. Like, and there was like two... Caesarean? Yeah, Caesarean. I initially said it's Caesarean because, I don't know, that's just like how I read it for years. But it's Caesarean. Jan Shuben, Karina's boyfriend, was all too familiar with his girlfriend's unhealthy obsession with having children. But to him, it was down to a tragic incident 2 years prior, in which Karina had given birth to a stillborn child. Naturally, he was elated when Karina announced that she was pregnant with twins in November of 2008, and had watched as she began carefully planning for the arrival of the children. Of the children? Oh yeah. And had watched as she began carefully planning for the arrival of the children. She watched dozens of YouTube videos which provided tips and hints on a smooth birthing process, and Jan even bought her the knitting supplies she needed to begin making baby clothes. She took prenatal vitamins, claimed she attended ultrasound appointments, and even took part in several midwifing classes in the event that she was forced to give birth at home. There was only one problem. Karina wasn't pregnant. She had faked the whole thing. 8 months after her lies began, she had everything she needed to begin her journey as a new mother. Everything, except a child. Jan was informed that Karina had an emergency at around 2:30 in the afternoon, and when he arrived home, he found his girlfriend lying in their bathtub, naked from the waist down, holding the lifeless infant in her hands. Jan did all he could to save the baby's life, even attempting CPR on the tiny, bloody fetus. But it was no good. The child had passed, and still under his veil of ignorance, Jan wept for the loss of the baby he believed was his. The next thing he did was contact local paramedics, and on their arrival, they were heavily alarmed by the amount of blood around the house. Believing Karina had suffered a life-threatening amount of blood loss, the paramedics rushed her and the lifeless child to the nearby Providence St. Vincent Medical Center. Since the reason of the child's passing was unknown, local police were called in simply as a matter of protocol. There were no official accusations at that stage, and the summoning of law enforcement is standard procedure in such cases, despite it being extremely distressing for all involved. At the time of their arrival, Karina was under heavy sedation, so it was Jan who informed them that, to his knowledge, Karina had been pregnant with twins. This meant that somewhere back at his home there was a second supposedly stillborn child in the residence that needed to be retrieved. Upon learning of the grim possibility of there being a second deceased child back at Jan's residence, 2 officers drove over to his home to conduct a search. Shortly after they departed, Karina's sedation wore off, and a team of doctors attempted to examine her. But to their alarm, they were met with a stark refusal. Karina became extremely distressed, claiming she'd sue the hospital if the medical staff so much as put a hand on her. It took a while to talk her into it, but eventually, doctors were finally able to conduct the necessary examinations on the groggy but devastated Karina. Only instead of discovering the usual signs of internal trauma, the doctors determined that Karina hadn't given birth at all. The doctors then informed Jan of this rather unexpected and alarming fact, and as you can imagine, he was as confused as he was horrified. When he told the doctors that he wished to speak to Karina alone for a few moments, they were only happy to oblige him, and when Jan confronted her, she made a chilling confession. "I did a horrible thing," she began, and over the next few minutes, she told Jan the whole horrifying story of how she'd murdered the pregnant Heather before slicing the baby from her womb. Meanwhile, back at the scene of the murder, police officers were searching high and low for signs of the second deceased infant. Suddenly, the radios burst into life, and it was then that they received the order to search the crawl space beneath the house for the body of a formerly pregnant woman. We can only imagine how harrowing the discovery was for the officers in question. Putting 2 and 2 together, realizing what Karina had done. There was never a second child, only one that had been ripped from its mother's lifeless body. When the officers returned to the Kay with the 5. Your artistic gifts are amazing. Oh, thank you, Kay. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Very kind indeed. When the officers returned to the hospital, they immediately arrested Karina Roberts on suspicion of the murder of Heather Snively. Fuck, is it Snively? I totally forgot. Snively, okay. You love me, thank you. Am I an artist? I don't know. I guess by artistic gifts, I'm not really sure. I guess the voice could. People have said that the voice is like a sort of like a voice artist kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't necessarily consider myself within that same realm of like a musical composer or like a painter or things of that nature. But I guess it's still within the realm of entertainment, and if it is useful to people, then I'm glad to be of use. So this wasn't the story I'm familiar with. This does sound familiar, though. I feel like I've read this story before in some way. I have a full nappy, Joel. What's a nappy? You took a full 8-hour nap? Oh, you shit your pants. Oh, okay. I'll be there momentarily. A face for radio. True. Enlighten people is how you get cults. Well, that's what we got going on here, don't you worry. When the officers returned to the hospital, they immediately arrested Karina Roberts on suspicion of the murder of Heather Snively. That sounded weird. The girl didn't die is the one you heard before. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I swear to God I've heard something similar, but yeah, I don't know if she died or what. Have you heard Posty's new song? Posty. Is that Post Mahone? Post Maloney's? Post Bologna sandwich? When the officers returned to the hospital, they immediately arrested Karina Roberts on suspicion of the murder of Heather Snively. It might surprise some of you to hear that Karina was not charged with the murder. You're doing your master's work, listening to me. It's nice background for typing about history. That's cool. What, I assume in the master's program you have to hone in on what specific history you're, I guess, focusing on? What would that specific history be? Postpone my student loan. My best buddy is a radio DJ, and he's right next to me, and he said, what you do is an art, Joel. Voice acting and using the voice as a storyteller is an art. Oh, well, thank you. DJ. Hell's bells. I appreciate you. The transcripts of Gargalon, yeah. Oh my God. Please don't ever let me forget that. You have a stick of bamboo and have no idea what to do with it. Probably just use it for discipline. Disciplinary action. Or maybe you could make a little flute. You could make a little flute out of it. When the officers returned to the hospital, they immediately arrested Karina Roberts on suspicion of the murder of Heather Snively. It might surprise some of you to hear that Karina was not charged with the murder of Heather's unborn son. But according to Oregon state law, a human being is defined as a person who has been born and was alive at the time of the criminal act. It was impossible to prove that baby John was alive in the moments after he was ripped from the womb. Therefore, the state refused to pursue any additional murder charges against Karina. Chillingly, in the course of their investigation, police discovered that Karina had made attempts to contact several other pregnant women via CRAIGSLIST, as well as by several other forms of social media. She had made arrangements with 3 of them, but her other 2 potential victims had failed to show up. Heather was the third, and for her trust, she paid with her life. At her first court hearing in August of 2009, Karina sobbed as the accusations were read out. Initially, she staunchly denied having murdered Heather, but the following year, when it became clear that the prosecutors were seeking the death penalty, she came clean and pled guilty to 1 count of aggravated murder. Her frank admission meant that there was no trial, and a judge submarinically, Jacob with the 2 says, Joel, could you do a Scooby-Doo for one night only? One night only at the Let's Read stream. Per the 9,000th request from Jacob comes Ruh-roh Raggy. It's Ruby Roo. Wait. Ruh-roh Raggy.
Listen.
It's Rowena. I hope she goes to rail. Ree. I can't really do it. Jacob, you love Scooby-Doo. But honestly, I don't blame you. I was obsessed with Scooby-Doo for years, truly. Honestly, I think Scooby-Doo pretty much peaked for me at Scooby-Doo and the Zombie Island. Remember the Zombie Island Scooby-Doo movie? Because that's like where because for years on Cartoon Network, I would watch Scooby-Doo episodes that were like, you know, from the 70s and shit. And like, then all of a sudden, it was like this big event on Cartoon Network at night, on a Saturday night. They were rolling out Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island, and it just looked like the animation was like top tier. I actually wonder if it even went to theaters. It might have went to theaters, but I don't know. But then as the years went on, they did other like Scooby-Doo movies, but they were all kind of shite and poop. But there was one show that I watched a lot too, growing up. It was like a pup named Scooby-Doo, and that was where like the gang was all younger and stuff. Wait, was it? Wait. Was it? I forget, but that show was sweet. And then there was like this side Scooby-Doo show that I think came out like in the 80s or maybe early 90s or something like that. But it was like Scooby-Doo was searching after these like, in the gang, were searching after these like specific monsters or something of that nature. And I feel like once in a while they would have celebrities on. I forget. Man, all that shit, it's just like fond nostalgia, but I can't remember any of this shit. A pup named Scooby-Doo was awesome. The intros, yeah. Scooby-Doo, yeah, Scooby-Doo. Was Shaggy still, or not Shaggy, but Scrappy-Doo in that? I guess he wouldn't be. Yeah, pup named Scooby-Doo was dope. 13 Ghosts. Yeah, it was like 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo or some shit like that. And that's, I don't know why. I feel like there weren't many episodes of that because I remember it was very rare that it was on Cartoon Network. But it was also like one of my favorites for some reason, maybe because it was just so abstract. I think that was the bad thing about being a kid back then, and really ever, is because like you just like see these shows or these movies that you can't just like instantaneously look up or, you know, watch the entire series on YouTube or some shit. Scrappy-Doo is the shit. Yeah, let me at him. Yeah, Scooby-Doo meets the Harlem Globetrotters. Didn't they have a whole show devoted to just the Globetrotters? Trotting around the globe, pulling out various items out of his afro. Jacob with 2 says, when I was a kid, I would watch Scooby-Doo. Hell yeah, dude. I'm glad. Her frank admission meant that there was no trial, and a judge subsequently sentenced her to life in prison without parole. Karina's defense attorneys had attempted to secure an eventual parole, but the state's prosecutor rightly argued that a person capable of murdering a pregnant woman had no place in free society.
Hey, listen.
I mean, that's interesting that, like, you think that there would be some... Did this change any laws or anything like that? Because it sounds as if though the definition of, like, a human life is, like, life after birth, or as they said, like, specifically in Oregon or whatever. And I'm curious, like, to correct the direction of, like, so that they would get, like, for future murders of pregnant women, so they get a conviction of, like, double homicide. I'm curious if they've changed the laws where if it's specifically murder, from another like a homicide from another person, if they would change those laws to accommodate that. I don't know. Yeah, why is Craig always writing lists, man? Does he have nothing else to do? Dude, Craig's helping everybody out. He's a man of many hats. He can be a handyman. He can sell you a PlayStation. He can also meet you out back in a public restroom somewhere. No problem. 3 a.m, you're good to go. See you, Cherry. Take care. Okay, so that was that one, and now this one. That was that story, and now this story. Is there a heartbeat in the background, or what do you mean? Unless it's really subtle, I don't think so. Blub blub, blub dub, blub dub. Haters with the two says there's a lunar eclipse where I am. I live in Arizona. Oh, nice. Yeah, how does it look? Is anybody be up? Who up staring at their eclipse? Staring directly at it. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a big deal at nighttime. Just don't do it when it's shiny.
Hey, listen.
How many stories are there? So there's 2 more left, and these both are true crime oriented pieces. It's too cloudy to see here. I keep checking though. Let me look out real quick, see if I can even... Oops. Kitty cat. Hello? Moon? Where are you? Sorry, kitty. Sorry. I do not see the moon. I tell Robin the other day that sunglasses are not good enough to look at an eclipse, bruh. Yeah, you need like an obsidian rock from Aztec history. Wait, did that the one person that was doing master's program history, I was curious what they were studying. I didn't know if they said what they were studying yet. It's horsefly season here, and they're a biting tonight. Got chomped twice a while ago, little bastards. Yeah, I heard that. Don't they actually take like chunks of your skin out? Like it can get kind of bad. Cause that would suck. Like, what if you get bit and it like, I don't know, it's like an open wound or some shit, and you get like infected from them landing on like feces somewhere else or something. You know what I mean? I don't know much about it, but I wasn't sure how bad it can actually get, because that sounds terrible. Fucking horseshoes. Too cloudy here, plus I live in the wood line, so trees are in the way. I have to look for bears every time I go out to check. You don't think a bear would instantly attack you, would it? I wouldn't imagine. I feel like black bears, they can get spooked if they have like a baby cub or something like that, but most of the time black bears are pretty skittish. From what I recall. If you get bit by a horsefly, there's a chance a maggot will grow in the wound. Oh my god, really? God, that's like a bigger fear to me than fucking ticks, dude. God, why are insects so gross? They stink. And they suck. Favorite movie? Oh man, too many to count. Fairly Odd Parents. Bears are unpredictable. This is true. Especially if they hungry. Immediate 90% alcohol and then neosporin. If you if you get bit by a horseshoe fly. Interesting. Oh no, that's bot flies. Okay, yeah. God, ew, those bot fly like videos you see on Reddit and shit where they're removing something, you're like, yep, that's a bot fly. Like I saw one where they pulled one out of a kitten's nose. You know, you just see them pulling like this cat's on like anesthesia and they're like pulling something out of it and it's just, I'm like, oh my god, that's a bot fly. Just fucking disgusting. Ed and Eddie. Yeah, I liked Ed and Eddie. I remember laughing when I was younger because my aunt, I don't know, however you say it, my aunt wouldn't let my cousin watch Ed and Eddie because she didn't like that they were always scheming to make money. And I just thought that was really funny. Like even as a kid, I was like, what, you think we're just going to go out there and start selling our souls for fucking jawbreakers or some shit? I think it's considered double homicide if someone kills a pregnant woman. I'm pretty sure that's what they try to charge for. Well, that's the thing in this story that I just read. That's what they were trying for, but then they used the definition of what they considered an alive person to be. And it wasn't until or at least what it said, and I may have read it wrong or could be wrong, but they said it was, they had to be born or take their first breath or something like first heartbeat or, you know what I mean? So I didn't know if they changed that specifically within Oregon for like later cases, like after the year 2009, to accommodate double homicide as opposed to what I assume that specifically for is abortion or something of that nature. A man placed an ad on his local Craigslist. Wife wanted. Next day he received 100 letters. They all said the same thing. You can have mine. That's funny. Take my wife, please. Take my wife, please. Do you like Courage the Cowardly Dog or Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? Also, do you remember Chalk Zone? Well, Courage was around during my time. Imaginary Friends show came out, I think, a little after me. Maybe like when I was in high school or something. Maybe college. I'll have to look up the time. Do I like bugs? I like some bugs. I'm not a super fan of bugs the way that some people are. Like, I don't mind like the good bugs, like ladybugs or fireflies are some of my favorite. Not a huge fan of spiders, though I do understand. Their porpoise. Anyone watch Code Lyoko as a kid? I've never heard of that. Someone was trying to do a project where they made a cartoon series where the Eds were in high school. Oh, okay. What's scarier, a swarm of flying cockroaches or a wave of non-venomous tarantulas? Probably tarantulas, because I feel like the tarantulas would still bite me, just territorially. Cockroaches are gross, though. I saw a lot of cockroaches when I went to Hawaii. That's kind of like surprised me. I mean, I guess that's normal there, but I did hear that Hawaii didn't have ticks, or at least the Lone Star tick or whatever, the one that carries Lyme's disease. And also, I do hear that even if a tick like implants itself into you, that might be a Lone Star or something. It's still a pretty low probability. Well, first you have to get it out of you within 48 hours, which usually happens because you notice it. But even if it does engorge itself, leave that red ring around the wound area. It's still a low chance that it's transmitted the saliva that has the Lyme's gene in it, I guess, or something like that. But then I also believe that as long as you get to the hospital in a pretty brief period of time, you can still get doxycycline, which helps to mitigate the contraction of Lyme's disease. I don't know. I'm just terrified of that because it's like an autoimmune thing and it just like fucks up your joints and stuff. Really not in the mood for autoimmune disorder. You gonna throw up? Welcome to my world. Born in Philadelphia on March 23rd of 1961, George Weber fell in love with talk radio from a very young age. He dreamed of working in the industry, and for many years, he lived his dream by working at the WABC 77 morning show. George would read out periodic news updates throughout the morning, as well as joining in conversation with the hosts about those news stories, and those who tuned in, turned up, those who got turned up with him. You should do a side gig reading drug trip report stories. Yeah, I wonder where you read those at. That'd be interesting to do on TikTok or some shit. And those who tuned in became all too familiar with the sound of his voice. In April of 2008, George moved from WABC to the ABC radio network, and over the 11 months that followed his appointment, George focused on local interest stories that he personally investigated. To his coworkers, George lived a quiet and unassuming life, but after failing to show up for work on March 21st of 2009, it was discovered that George's private life was very different from his public persona. Naturally, on the Saturday morning that George failed to show up for work, his coworkers became concerned with his absence. On the few days that George took off due to sickness, he always called ahead, so by mid-afternoon, when George had yet to contact them, his coworkers called 911 and asked the police to check on him. On Sunday, March 22nd, 2 patrol officers arrived at George's apartment at around 8:30 in the morning. At first, they noticed nothing out of the ordinary, but on closer inspection, they began to detect the sound of running water from somewhere in the apartment. That alone wouldn't normally be any cause for alarm, but coupled with the fact that George failed to answer the door to the officers when the officers announced themselves, and it made for a very ominous situation indeed. Around 15 to 20 minutes after they first arrived on scene, the patrol officers forced their way into George's apartment, and once they'd done so, they discovered a truly horrifying sight. George Weber was lying naked on his bedroom floor in a pool of his own blood. His arms and legs had been bound tight with rope, while his bloodied corpse had been mutilated by around 50 stab wounds to his neck, chest, and arms. The sounding... See, this is about the time in the podcast where, like, somebody's husband is listening to them listen to this, and they're like, what the fuck are you listening to? No, if you get that red ring, you're screwed. Yeah, I got it. It's the worst. Damn. I know the story. He was our local DJ for years. He was killed at his New York apartment. Oh, shit. That's crazy. The sound of running water was coming from the apartment's bathroom, and the blood around... Oh, wait. His arms and legs had been bound tight with rope, while his bloodied corpse had been mutilated by around 50 stab wounds to his neck, chest, and arms. The sound of running water was coming from the apartment's bathroom, and the blood around the taps and sinks suggested that George's killer had attempted to clean himself off before escaping during the night. During the examination of the crime scene, the attending officers found no signs of forced entry, leading them to believe that Weber had both known and trusted his attacker enough to welcome him into his home. With this in mind, homicide detectives began scouring George's computer and phone in the hopes of finding any evidence of grudges or arguments between the victim and his friends or neighbors. This is how they discovered a message exchange between George and a 16-year-old high school student by the name of John Kaitis. Kaitis? Sorry, let me look this one up. John Kaitis. John Kaitis. Oh, he's the killer. Interesting. Kaitis. Wait. Did they say it wrong? Here, I'll put it in chat. I don't know if... Oh, wait, no, they said it right. But they... Oh, that's funny. They said it right in the... It's like a New York Daily News. They said it right in the video, but they spelled it wrong in their title. So that's, I mean, it's not funny, but it's just caught me off guard. The kid got $60 from this dude that he killed. That's crazy. This is how they discovered a message exchange between George and a 16-year-old high school student by the name of John Cateus. The text message threads and call logs taken from George's phone suggest that he and Cateus had arranged to meet on the night of Friday, March 20th, and that the purpose of the meeting had been less than wholesome. They had met after George posted Anywhere I want to travel? Yeah, I'd like to travel. You know, maybe France, maybe Rome, Germany, Japan. It'd be sweet to see the Great Wall of China. I don't know. Really, anywhere would be cool, just for the funsies. They had met after George posted on CRAIGSLIST that he was seeking a night of passion with a younger man, and the timing of their exchanges suggested that Cateus had been one of the last people to see George alive. But after trying to bring him in for questioning, they discovered that the boy was less than willing to give himself up. Not only that, but a deep dive into Cateus's background brought up some very disturbing information. According to his social media profiles, John Cateus was a self-declared Satanist with a penchant for extreme sadism, and when the police reached out to the boy's family, they confirmed that John was a deeply troubled young man. Cateus's father was appalled by the allegations and agreed to take part in a sting that would bring his son to justice. The father contacted Cateus and convinced him to return to his East Elmhurst home to collect $300. When Cateus returned to collect the money, he was promptly arrested. At his trial, Cateus was charged as an adult, and although he pled not guilty on a charge of second-degree murder, he was convicted and sentenced to 25 years to life. In the aftermath of his imprisonment, some true crime aficionados cited the Cateus case as Get down to France. Get your ass to France. Quaid. Get back to France. We need to climb the tower. Do. Are you going to France? Or wait, Joel, we are going to France and Japan. That'd be cool. Conspiracy theory. Joel is the voice in all our heads. He doesn't exist. He also exists to us all. I think you guys are the voices in my heads, and I'm just so bored with my life that I'm just making all this YouTube shit up. I'm just pretending to be a streamer in front of the computer, like some little kid. Okay, everyone. Today we're playing Minecraft. We're gonna make an Ender Dragon. In the aftermath of his imprisonment, some true crime aficionados cited the Cateus. In the aftermath of his imprisonment, some true crime aficionados cited the Cateus case as an example of a lethal hate crime on homosexual men where the perpetrator exhibited some degree of homosexuality themselves. To them, it was a crime of projected self-hatred, but to others, George Weber's murder was something considerably more disturbing. Some argued that Cateus had targeted a desperate older man simply to secure access to his home. Then, the guise of what we call a bedroom game, Cateus was able to bind his prospective victim before sacrificing him in the name of Satan. Others argued that rather than the murder being satanic, Cateus killed George when it became clear that he was a pederast. Wonder if there's a better word for that. We looked this up before. Didn't we come up with like a sex offender or something like that? Or like a child abuser or something? Others argued that rather than the murder being satanic, Cateus killed George when it became clear that he was a child abuser, and that Cateus's involvement with George was merely to a sting to seek out and punish someone who was willing to sleep with an underage boy. It's almost impossible to establish any of these theories as fact, and all that Cateus's lawyer argued in court was the idea that George and his client had been involved in a long-term but violently unstable relationship. Whether or not this is true, the judge and jury took no mercy on the 16-year-old, who was condemned to spend the rest of his youth in a federal correctional facility. Maybe one day John Cateus will properly explain why he killed George Weber, but it's just as likely that the Weber family will forever be in the dark as to why their loved one had to die. Alright, yeah, that was a pretty fucked up story just in general, because, like, but in both scenarios, you know what I mean? It's, like, very fucked up. So that one, George, and then I think this is the last story here. It was about 3 pages. 3. Is the P word flagged on YouTube, right, or something like that? You know, I'm not absolutely certain, but I think so. And so, yeah, in the attempt to maintain monetization on a video, there's certain words, especially ones that are more sexually oriented, like grammatically, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even really say the word sex, like when saying, like, sex offender or you know, other words as well. It just kind of covering my bases there, because there are other ways to kind of like describe this stuff without using those outright words, even though obviously that is what they are or what they've done. But you know, sometimes you have to just be careful in here. Can you whisper it once or twice just for us on how it sounds, please? What? No. What am I whispering? What the fuck? Did you see the eclipse? I did not, sadly. Too cloudy. And I didn't have my crystals ready. I was too busy smoking them. In April of 2010, a man named Jim Sanders uploaded a post to Craigslist advertising the sale of a small diamond ring. Jim lived in the small city of Edgewood in Washington state, along with his wife, Charlene, and their 2 sons, aged 14 and 10. Shortly after the advertisement was posted, Jim was contacted by a person claiming to be interested in purchasing the ring. Jim then invited them over to his home so they could view the ring in person before negotiating on a price. Then, on the evening of April 28th, a male and a female arrived at the Sanders home, the same people that had called ahead to arrange the meeting. Charlene Sanders recalls them being affable, even a cute couple, who thought that the ring would make the perfect Mother's Day gift. After agreeing on a price, Jim Sanders asked how the couple would like to pay, and only then did it become evident that they had no intention of doing so. The male half of the couple pulled out a firearm, catching Jim off completely. Oops. I was edging over at Edgewood. What? After agreeing on a price, Jim Sanders asked how the couple would like to pay him, and only then did it become evident that they had no intention of doing so. The male half of the couple pulled out a firearm, catching Jim completely off guard and leaving him no choice but to hand over the ring. As Jim did so, the female half of the couple rushed to the back door of the Sanders home, opening it to allow entry to two other criminal accomplices. The entire family was then corralled into the home's TV room, where the robbers made them kneel before binding their hands behind their backs. After the family were secured, the robbers demanded that Jim and Charlene reveal the location of additional valuables. I had a gun to the back of my head with a countdown, 3, 2, and I'm just screaming and my kids are standing there, Charlene Sanders later said. I'm saying, please God, don't let them kill me. Don't let them kill my kids. Then they just ripped my home apart. The robbers knew that the longer they stayed in the Sanders house, the more they stood a chance of being apprehended by law enforcement. So, with this in mind, they positively ransacked the house in search of anything worth stealing. One of the robbers remained in the living room, acting as crowd control, but it seems he was far more forceful and intimidating than was required. His threats to execute both Jim and Charlene were convincing. His threats to execute both Jim and Charlene were so convincing that their two sons became inconsolable with fear. They began wailing at the top of their lungs, so loud that the robbers became concerned that the neighbors might hear their cries. The robber responsible for controlling the family began to threaten the two boys with beatings unless they remained quiet, but this only increased their agitation, and their sobs grew even louder than before. Their disobedience incensed the robber, who became increasingly agitated at the refusal to stop crying, and he made good on his promise to beat the children mercilessly. Their parents were forced to watch a living nightmare unfold before their eyes. Charlene Sanders reacted by offering up her own wedding ring to keep her children from being beaten. That night was horrific, Charlene said. When they ripped my wedding ring off my finger, we just kept saying, just take what you want, just take what you want, don't kill us. Jim Sanders, on the other hand, had a very different reaction to the sight of his two sons being beaten. It seems Jim was initially rather pragmatic about the idea of his home being invaded and ransacked, as he knew that if he just kept his mouth shut and played for survival, the robbers would depart just as quickly as they arrived. Material possessions could be replaced, damage to their home could be repaired. Gunshot wounds, however, are not so easily mended. Yet when the robbers began beating his children, when they began hurting what was most precious in the world to him, he was overcome by a burning, all-consuming rage. It's incredibly hard to break free from a tightly secured zip tie, especially when they're binding a person's wrist behind their back. But somehow, Jim Sanders was so utterly filled with fury that he managed to snap the thick plastic of the zip tie with nothing but pure brute force. In any other circumstances, Jim would have known better than to rush a man with a loaded pistol trained on him, but by that point, the red mist had well and truly descended. Jim found his feet, leaned forward, and charged his son's attacker, screaming as he ran. In the movies, the hero might dodge a few of his assailant's bullets before tackling him to the ground. He then ripped the pistol from their hands before turning it on them, using it to defend the family he'd worked so hard to raise. But life isn't a movie, and Jim Sanders wasn't anywhere fast enough to outmaneuver the robber. The gunman stepped back, aimed, and put 3 bullets into Jim's body before he even got within 6 feet of him. For Charlene Sanders, it was the single most horrifying. For Charlene Sanders, it was the single For Charlene Sanders, it was the single worst moment of her entire life. I just kept saying, "Honey, please stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with us. Don't go, don't go." And he was just barely gasping for air, she said. My husband was a hero. He told his boys he would always protect his family, and he died protecting his family. When they killed him the way they did, I couldn't believe it. But I was also in awe that the 3 of us were alive, and I was praising God for that. Charlene might be able to talk of the subject with a degree of magnanimity. The quality of being magnanimous, a magnanimous act. A show of suggesting a lofty or courageous spirit. Magnanimity, okay. Continually join these lives way too late. I'm sorry. We are at 800 people right now, which is like kind of a lot. But yeah, like I said, definitely follow me on Twitter if you haven't already at Let's Read Creepy, just because you can hit the notifications there and you'll be notified probably every time I tweet, and I always tweet whenever I'm going live, so you'll be able to like catch it on the off chance that YouTube's notification systems don't quite make it to you as you would prefer them to. It's weird that they're so selective with who they notify. I never really understand that. I do understand that they're like, they don't want people to get annoyed and turn them off completely, but at the same time, how do you determine who is most likely to get them, you know? Because they're clear, I mean, it's been going on for years. There's clearly something wrong with the algorithm that like specifically knows who wants to be notified. You know what I mean? So I don't get it. Charlene might be able to talk of the subjects with a degree of magnanimity today, but at the time, she was beyond traumatized, and the men responsible for her husband's death weren't exactly faring any better. The murderer's accomplices were nothing short of horrified at what had occurred, and understood that, by that point, the situation was far beyond their control. A non-violent home invasion might soon become lost in a stack of incomplete cases, but a straight-up murder, the police would track them incessantly for such a crime. In the end, the robbers fled the bloody crime scene with cell phones, a laptop computer, jewelry, and an assortment of other valuables. And knowing the kind of heat which was about to come down on them, they drove south, all the way through Oregon until they reached California's northern border. A number of homicide detectives were assigned to the case, and it wasn't long before they discovered the robbers had made a single, fatal mistake. They had communicated with Jim Sanders using an email account tied to one of their real names. The suspects were then featured on the America's Most Wanted television show and were named as Claiborne Bernard, Joshua Reese, Kiyoshi Higashi, and Amanda Knight, 4 heroin addicts who were foolish enough to take the front license plate off the car they used to escape Washington. Then, shortly after approaching the city of San Francisco, they were subjected to a traffic stop and quickly arrested. In court, the suspects wept as they were charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, 2 counts of robbery, 2 counts of assault, and 1 count of burglary. Each of them entered pleas of not guilty, and the raw horror and outrage they expressed left many believing it was a case of mistaken identity. But piece by piece, prosecutors tied the story together, proving beyond all doubt that the 3 men and 1 woman were responsible for Jim Sanders' murder. Finally, Charlene Sanders herself appeared in court, telling the judge and jury that there was no doubt in her mind that the 4 suspects were the people who invaded her home and killed her husband. Charlene's testimony meant that in 2011, all 4 were convicted on all charges, which each of them received a sentence. I'm confused. I thought it was just 2. I thought it was just 2 robbers. Remember? Wasn't it just like a couple or something like that? Did they mention the other people coming in? You know what I mean? Maybe I wasn't paying attention as I read it. Charlene's testimony meant that in 2011, all 4 were convicted of Volin. Charlene's testimony meant that in 2011, all 4 were convicted on all charges, which each of them received sentences of between 71 and 124 years in prison. When confined to prison, one of the suspects, Kiyoshi Higashi, told a reporter that he deeply regretted Jim's murder, and that he prayed for their family on a nightly basis because no one deserved that. But when reached for comment, Pierce County, probably. Oh, they let 2 men in the back. Oh, okay. I don't know why I didn't hear that when I was reading it. Sometimes I zone out. It's not that I zone out, it's just like maybe my reading comprehension is poop. But when reached out for comment, Pierce County Prosecutor Mark Lindquist was quoted as saying, "Talk to Charlene Sanders about who it was that came into her house that night. It wasn't somebody sheepish. It was someone willing to hurt, and maybe even kill innocent children. Someone who had no problem taking their father's life before their very eyes." Okay. I want to make sure I read everything. Yeah, I think I read everything. I'm just not sure. That went by so quick, though. Crikey. Your coworker just vacation in Vegas? Let's go. I've never been to Vegas. Is it a good time? You trip and stumbled over words. Did I? Do I ever do that? I think I tripped and stumbled over your mother. You want to move to a warmer climate? Same here. I'm sick of this winter shit. Someone think of something funny to say at the end. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let'sReadOfficial, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, Jacob with you, and remember to always hold the skull. I thought we were returning the skull. After learning about Florida, water bugs and such, Alaska doesn't seem so bad. Yeah, I don't know. I never heard of water bugs until that story. And remember, what in the butt?
Hey, listen.
Craigslist crystals are the rarest. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, Craigslist crystals. I want to say something about cleaning your Craigslist crystals. Thanks so much, friends. And remember to always clean your Craigslist crystals. Who's still up? Playing with a worm. I think I did that already. Like on an older one. Who up? Feeding their worm to the northern pike. Remember the scroll of Gargalon. Waterbugs, waterbugs. Well, my friends, we hit over 800 people here tonight, so that's kind of crazy. I feel like this went by really quick, and I don't know why. It just seems kind of like, because, well, I guess we're going on 3 hours. Maybe I was rambling on previously. But I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the support. As always, another awesome stream is in the books. I don't feel sick anymore, so I don't know. Maybe just being focused on something else took my mind off of the whole hangover biz. Did you hear the clip of you falling in love with Sasquatch? No, Mega. There was a few ones that I wanted to watch that you tagged me in, but then I feel like you delete your Twitter stuff as soon as you tweet it out. So I'm like, what the heck? I want to listen to my funnies. Also, did you, here, I'll go to your channel just out of curiosity. I wonder if you can start putting those, oh wait, I can't. Oh, weird. Well, maybe if you tag me on Twitter again, I can go to it, but you should definitely put all those on a playlist or something, maybe just to find them later. Because honestly, you said there was quite a few that you had clipped, and I don't know. I there was one that I laughed at really hard. I forget which one it was. It was pretty recent. I said some stupid shit, man, but I guess that's the whole point. Jacob with the 2 says, thanks, Joel. The Cerebral Assassin is out. Adios, Jacob. Thanks for everything. Appreciate you as always. You didn't even have, I mean, you must have been fighting off the saxophone bots all night, because I didn't even see a single one. But guys, thanks again. Appreciate you. I will be back. We'll get this edited up on Patreon for $1 a month over there, early access. And then I'll get this video edited, ready to rock and roll for tonight, 7 p.m. EST. Stay tuned for that. Hit the notification bells. It does really help me if you guys watch the video right when you get notified. Because basically I think if you watch it then, and then it notifies new people, and then it suggests it out to new people, and it's I really do think there's something about YouTube's notification system and the views that you get that is very heavily based in momentum. So we gotta get that snowball going, baby. We gotta get it going. Thanks for the mental help. You're welcome. Thank you. You guys help me just as much. So I appreciate you. I hope you guys stay well, sleep well, have a good day at school or work or whatever you're doing tomorrow. And we'll see you again soon. Tuesday, my dudes. See you then.